Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today my background is a little bit different. I'm currently at my parents' house and I don't really have like a lot of equipment and a background and everything, so I didn't want to do something makeup tutorial-ish just because I don't think the footage would really turn out true to colors. So I had this idea where I talk about companies that seem cruelty-free but are actually not. I get a lot of questions on Instagram because I am a cruelty-free beauty enthusiast. I love makeup, but I refuse to buy anything that's tested on animals. So I get a lot of questions about what brands are tested on animals and which are not, like which are okay to buy if you're trying to be cruelty-free. So I thought I would make a whole video on it because sometimes it can be kind of confusing. There are a ton of resources that you can use to find out if something is cruelty-free, and now you can add this to that list. I will list a couple websites down below that really helped me on my cruelty-free journey and determining what brands are okay to buy from. So the first place I would recommend looking is the actual brand's website. It really helps if a brand posts on their website whether or not they test on animals and their animal testing policy, and quite a few do. So that's the first place I would check if you're trying to find out if a company is indeed cruelty-free or not. However, some brands do not post that on their website, and it's not so black and white if they test on animals or not. There are some blogs, and I'll list them down below, that actually reach out to the company via email and ask them about their animal testing policies. And these blogs are really dedicated into finding out which companies are cruelty-free for the consumer. So they're really great blogs. I'll list them down below. Again, I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that. But I also kind of wanted to go through some brands that I personally was surprised that aren't cruelty-free. And you kind of think they would be, but it's really easy to assume, and you don't want to do that if you're talking about animal testing, especially if it's something that you're really passionate about. Also, if you hear my parents' cat meowing in the background, don't mind her, she's fine, she just likes to talk. So a lot of these companies actually do not test on animals except where required by law. So a lot of brands will state that as their policy. What that means is they most likely sell in mainland China. And in order to be sold in mainland China, China's regulations require that the company test their products on animals. Now don't get this confused, because if something is made in China, that does not mean it's tested on animals necessarily. It could mean that, but it doesn't correlate exactly. If something's made in China, but it's sold strictly in America, then it is quite possible that that product will not be tested on animals. As long as it's not marketed and sold in mainland China, then there is a possibility that it will be cruelty-free. But if they are sold in mainland China, then that automatically means that they are tested on animals. So the first brand that I was kind of surprised about is Benefit. Benefit does sell in mainland China, so they do test their products on animals. So I own nothing from the brand. I know they do a lot of work with influencers. They've never reached out to me personally, and I don't know if that's because I'm a cruelty-free page, or maybe it's just because they don't have no interest in working with me. I don't know, but they do a lot of influencer work, and I just want everybody to know that they do test on animals. So if that's something that's important to you, maybe refrain from purchasing from them. The second one is really sad for me because they used to be cruelty-free and now they are not. They've expanded to mainland China, and that is NARS. They used to be a really big company in the game, for me anyways, because they have such good products. Like, they are so good. However, when they expanded, they kind of put their animal testing values on the back burner and decided that their profit was more important to them. So I had a bunch of NARS stuff from when they were actually a cruelty-free brand, and then they expanded to China, and I just gave all of it away, and I no longer purchase from them. And I totally understand that not everyone can afford to throw their products away or give them away to friends or whatever, but I did that because I am really passionate about only using cruelty-free makeup, especially on my makeup page. I don't want to promote anything that is tested on animals ever. The next one a lot of people are surprised about, and it's a lot of skincare companies I find that are the most surprising. Fresh Beauty actually does sell in mainland China. My best friend actually did reach out to them via email because she was confused about their particular animal testing policy. And they are really passionate about not testing on animals and using alternative methods to test their products. But they clearly don't care enough because they still sell in China, which means it's tested on animals. So that one was upsetting because they have very good products. So that one can also be a little confusing because they talk about the alternative methods that they use, but at the end of the day, they still do also test on animals. The next one's another skincare company that I was particularly surprised about when I first went cruelty-free with my skincare, and that is Origins. So the next one is kind of surprising because on their website, they sometimes market some of their products as not tested on animals. However, they do test some of their products on animals and then they just don't mention it. You would think that Origins would be a cruelty-free company because they're all about being natural and natural products and having really good ingredients. And I don't know, I personally got the vibe that they would be cruelty-free and for the animals, but apparently they are not. They test their skincare on animals and I'm just not down with that. And it's sad because there was this Origins eye cream that I used to love and then I had to stop using it, So the next company is kind of a little bit confusing because sometimes on the website they market some of their products as not tested on animals. However, some of their products are tested on animals and then they just fail to mention it. So as a company, they do test, and that is Sephora Collection. So only some of their products are tested on animals, but since they do animal testing in the first place, I just refrain from buying from the company as a whole. Okay, this one is kind of sad for me. It's Estee Lauder. I used to love the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation and I no longer use it. I had to find alternatives because they test on animals. I put Estee Lauder and MAC Cosmetics in the same category just because MAC is owned by Estee Lauder, so I don't know, I just kind of grouped them together. MAC is another company that used to be cruelty-free and they no longer are since they expanded to selling in mainland China. There was a big outrage about that because it seems like they're kind of taking a step backwards. Especially MAC, such an iconic company in the cosmetics world. I don't know, it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, so I no longer purchase from them. I don't even go in their store anymore, to be honest. Another company that I'm kind of sad about because their products really do look incredible and I've heard really good things from friends is Glam Glow. Their masks are supposedly awesome. I don't know, I don't think I've actually ever tried one unless it was a sample before I went cruelty-free. Unfortunately, their masks and skincare are tested on animals, so I do not buy from them. I've never used them. I don't want to try a product that's amazing just to not be able to buy it later, so plus they're super expensive. So. Another one that kind of breaks my heart because they're such an iconic makeup company in the game is Makeup Forever. They have amazing ranges and really, really incredible products. I don't think I've heard too many bad things being said about a lot of their products, so it makes me sad that I can't use any of them. Or not that I can't use any of them, but I'm choosing not to buy from them. It kind of makes me sad. I wish they would go cruelty-free, and yeah, so that's another one that tests on animals, and that makes me sad. Bobbi Brown is another one that tests on animals, so that makes me sad because, again, Bobbi Brown is such an iconic makeup artist, and I don't know. I think actually, I'll confirm this, I'll like put text over this or something, but I believe also Pat McGrath Labs is tested on animals, that whole company. So both of them, both are iconic female makeup artists, and they do such an incredible job, such incredible work, and I really wish that I could let myself try their product. So I refuse to purchase any of their products, but I've heard really great things, so if they could go cruelty-free, that'd be great. Another one that's kind of surprising is Clinique. Clinique does test on animals. You would kind of think they wouldn't. I don't know, that's just kind of the vibe I got because they're supposed to be really good for your skin, have really good ingredients, be more, I don't know if I don't even think they really market as natural, but I don't know. I just always assumed before I did my research that they would be cruelty-free, but in fact they are not. There are a few more obvious ones that I would like to talk about just really briefly. Most of the drugstore companies, so L'Oreal, CoverGirl, Maybelline, Revlon, am I missing any? They all test on animals. There are only a seldom few at the drugstore that actually do not, although it is possible to buy affordable cruelty-free makeup. You can check out my previous video where I did all drugstore makeup that was under $10 that's cruelty-free. So there are a few options, but I'm just kind of grouping those all together just because they're all kind of drugstore based and there's no real explanation. They all sell in mainland China, so they all test on animals. So that sucks just because it is kind of hard to find affordable drugstore makeup that isn't tested on animals. You kind of, a lot of the time, have to go more high end, but it is possible. Okay, so now that I've been super negative and talked about all this awful animal testing and companies that participate in that, let's talk about a few companies that I personally really love that are cruelty-free. And on the bright side, there are more awesome makeup companies that don't test on animals than that do test on animals. So there are still a lot of options if you're looking to go cruelty-free. A few of my favorites are Fenty Beauty, Marc Jacobs Beauty, Kat Von D, Too Faced, Tarte, Huda Beauty, I'm just trying to think, Bare Minerals, Kylie Cosmetics, Laura Mercier, NYX Cosmetics, Urban Decay. Skincare wise, there's some really awesome ones, First Aid Beauty, Herbivore, Drunk Elephant. That is one of my favorite skincare companies that don't test on animals. They have such good products. Like, they are just so good, and none of it's tested on animals, so I would highly recommend checking them out if you have the budget. They are a little bit pricey though. And I'm just kind of listing these off the top of my head. They're not really in any particular order. Glow Recipe, I know a lot of their products are kind of hyped up right now. Their products are not tested on animals. Another really good drugstore one is Wet n Wild. Love their stuff. It's affordable and it's cruelty-free, so that's awesome. Elf is another one that's cruelty-free, and most of their stuff is even vegan, and it's very affordable. Physicians Formula is another drugstore company. They're a little more on the pricey side when it comes to drugstore makeup, but still love their stuff. A skincare company that is more affordable, that doesn't test on animals, is the whole Yes To line. So yes to carrots, yes to cucumbers, yes to blueberries, tomatoes, all of that. And I just want to quickly talk about my personal journey when I decided to go cruelty-free. I don't know what really clicked in my head that so many of my stuff was tested on animals. But one day I decided to look it up, and a lot of my stuff was, and it really disheartened me because I don't want to be that person that supports animal testing laws. So the way that I went about it, because I was a student at the time and didn't really have tons of money to just throw all my makeup away, what I did was I slowly started replacing my products. So once I finished with my last bottle of the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, I switched over to the Tarte Amazonian Clay Foundation. Once I was finished with a particular primer or bronzer, my NARS Laguna bronzer, and the Benefit Hoola bronzer, those two were like my go-to. I started using the Physicians Formula bronzer or the Too Faced Milk Chocolate bronzer. So that's kind of how I started. I just started slowly switching out products. Any purchase you make in support of a company that does not test on animals is an improvement. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all at once. You don't have to spend all this money right away, but you can just stop buying from them. You can continue to use them until the product's done, but just stop putting your money towards it, because at the end of the day, that's what's supporting these companies. And like, I'll let you in on a little secret, I am really emotionally attached to some of my MAC lipsticks, and I still have them. Do I use them? No. Do I promote them on my Instagram page? No, never. Do I buy any more? No, absolutely not. However, these lipsticks are something that I don't know, I have an emotional attachment to some of them. Some of them were like really hyped up collections, I don't know, stuff like that. So I still have a few of them in my drawer, but I don't do anything that would support MAC anymore. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. I hope it kind of gave you a little bit of perspective and a little bit of information regarding how to go cruelty-free with your makeup collection. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!